Hey Synth Dragons! So today I wanted to share a pad that I made for the Korg Minilogue XT. It's called Stargazer, and it's going to use the internal effects and no external effects. It's kind of a shimmery pad style, just nice patch. To get started, we want to go ahead and choose an init patch. And we want to tune the synth by holding down Shift and record. And I wanted to make this video besides just sharing a patch with you guys, so you kind of get a feel of what you can do with the Minilogue on your own, and, you know, kind of explore its capabilities instead of just using somebody else's patch. So we're only going to use one VCO, and we want to set the VCO to a square wave. Let's go ahead and add some attack and release for the amp envelope. And the attack should be set to right around the 600 mark, and the release should be about 700 or so in the attributes. We're going to keep the octave on VCO 1 right around there. And what is that? It's 8 feet, I guess. And we're going to add some motion sequencing in a few with that to make it interesting. So let's go ahead and add some pitch vibrato to it. We're going to add a lot of movement to this. So the pitch vibrato will be added with the LFO. Change the LFO to shape, or pitch, sorry. Change the setting to how much to around 23. And the rate, we wanted to set it all the way down, so right around 165, so it's going to be a very slow LFO. Change the wave to a triangle. Triangle is the closest thing we have to a sine. I wish this thing had a sine. That'd make some very interesting things, like a sine with a skew or something. Okay, you can hear that pitch change. Gives a nice little bit of vibrato. Let's change the filter cutoff. Filter cutoff, let's change it to around 620 or so. Let's change it up a little, make it a little brighter. Alright, that's starting to sound pretty interesting. Now, there's only there's only 4 voices in the Minilogue XD. I was playing with the modal argon so much that I got mixed up with that. But yeah, so there's going to be voice stealing because we have a lot of release. You can hear that voice stealing. We're going to change it so that there's not so much voice stealing. Let's change the tempo down to around 56 beats per minute because we're going to use a delay, and the delay is going to be set off the master clock. Set your effects section to delay, turn on the delay. Swap through until you find ping BPM, which will set it to a division of the master tempo. Change the time all the way up so you have a 1-to-1 no subdivision. And let's add some depth. Alright, you can hear that. Alright. I kind of wanted to change the time to a 1 so you can kind of hear what it's doing. Now we're going to change the subdivision so it's a little closer to our input. So let's change the subdivision to about a half. Alright, kind of getting there. Let's change the time back down. Let's change it to about 3/8. That's wonderful. That's about where we want it. Maybe change it to a 1/3. Oh, that's even better. Alright, so we're only using one VCO. Let's make it a little thicker. I'm not going to add another VCO because we're going to use some motion sequencing later. And it becomes a little more complicated if we do that. So let's add a mod effect. We're going to add chorus. Chorus will thicken it up. It basically adds a copy to the sound, slightly skewed time-wise to the original to thicken it up. The Juno 6 sounds so good because it has such a good chorus, and that's kind of what makes it sound less thin. So we're in the mod section. We want to turn this on, and we want to just choose chorus. I just want past it. I want to have the time right around maybe in the 30s, and then the depth. Again, you don't want to follow this 100%, you kind of just want to experiment. Let's change our keyboard octave down one. Okay, that sounds really lovely. Okay, so now we're going to use the reverb. Now the shimmer reverb is going to be kind of key to this, and the shimmer doesn't sound good, but the shimmer sounds interesting when you do a few things to it, like overexcited. That's the way I put it. We're going to change the pitch that goes into it quite a bit to kind of confuse the pitch shifter in there. It sounds pretty neat. So let's go to the reverb section, turn that on, and find the one that's called riser, which is kind of a shimmer with an octave up. Okay, let's change the depth to right around 70%. Change the time to around 3 seconds. We don't want too much decay on that. Okay, and here's where the fun happens. We're going to turn on the motion mode, and we're going to step sequence some motions into it. Let's start with the first note here, and we're going to change the octave on the oscillator. We're going to move it all the way up. Let's go to the fourth note. Let's change the octave down to the very lowest on the oscillator. Let's go to the next fourth, and then we're going to change it to the third one here, which, and there. And then the last one, we want to change it to the highest again. And now that the tempo is all the way down, it'll be synced to the sequencer. Let's start playing that. You don't hear anything because there's no notes sequenced in. We don't care about that. But here you go. I kind of got the inspiration from this from the Chase Bliss Theoreme, which works on a similar principle where it changes the time divisions to change the octaves. It's not quite the same. You can't do that with a delay on this, unfortunately. There's some synths you can. This isn't one of them. But we have a lot of movement now. It's almost like the arpeggiator is being used, but it's not. You can even use the arpeggiator with this. Okay. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to change every second now note on here to have some different shapes since we're in the square wave mode. So let's go ahead and change the second note. Let's have no shape here, or like 0% shape. Let's change this one, have the shape here, maybe 25%, then this one 50, about 50% of the way up, this one around 75. Now let's listen to that. Experimenting with the settings is going to be key to this. Let's make the filter a little more open. And since we're using BPM sync for the delay, you can just change the tempo. You can hear that delay. Sounds really cool. Alright, hey, thanks for watching. I hope this helps somebody out.